evening to all of you. I hope you're all having a good Saturday night. Sunday. God damn it, I'm saying the wrong day again. Well, anyway, I hope you're all having a good Sunday night. Let me say that correctly. But anyway, Ticket to Ride is just moments away. But before we get to that, of course, since we didn't do our Roblox show as I had said at the end of last night's show, we did part of it, at the end of yesterday's, little game shows kind of thing, whatever. But yeah. But anyway, let's do the Wordle here before we dared. Let's try rapid. So close. Rapid. Rabid. It has to be rabid. Yep. That is the word today. But anyway, we're not going to make you all sit and wait, and we are just going to get right to Ticket to Ride here for this week. So let's get started. Oh yeah, and I didn't mute the audio on the. Did I? Okay. There we go. We got sound, but I don't see the desktop audio working. Here, let's try that. Okay, there we go. Now it works. I'll tell you why I'll tell you all about it here, right now, while we're getting started here with game number 1. So, I'm sure you all know that a lot of things have happened last night, especially when we were last with you. So, I'll go ahead, and for those of you who may have missed our weekend fun game show, and especially our Friday show too, let's break down the whole story, because this has been quite a weekend. So, of course, Friday was Halloween and, all the trick-or-treaters. But then, I finally broke the news to my father that our old Vizio TV had finally bit the dust. So, just minutes before we came on Friday night, my father told me that we were going to run over to Walmart and get a new one. So that's what we did. And the pauses went on for even longer as I wanted to, watch the setup, and I had to help him set it up. We'll actually set up the actual TV itself, put it in its place, but not mainly with the actual OS setup, which interestingly is called Vizio OS. Funny name. Vizio OS. The name is Vizio's TV operating system, like Apple's TV OS and things like that. But what's interesting about this, and I actually just discovered it during the opening titles, and I found it out on the box too. You can see, the TV is actually called Living Room. As I can actually mirror the iPad screen to the TV. Yes, I can mirror this iPad screen to a 75-inch TV. Because I saw Apple AirPlay on the box, and my father lectured me, with some of the features of that new TV and everything. And I like it, but now better avoid making that mistake of pressing the living room button when I want to mirror the screen to the computer and not to the TV. Well, speaking of the computer, I'll get to that right now with what's been going on, with our equipment, especially today. So, at the same time as setting up that TV, my Insider Preview machine had finally began receiving preview builds for Windows 11 25H2. I did the feature update towards the end of the show, after we did the last of the games. And then after that, well, that was it. And then on Saturday, yesterday actually now in this case, yesterday, I took care of the county request video at 11:30 in the morning, along with the last wording of Central Daylight Time for 2025. I did all of that at once. So I did all of that at once. Now to sort of make my life a bit easier. I'm glad I did that. As I didn't have to worry about it the rest of the day. So then I had lunch. We got the old TV packed up in its box. And then we sent the other accessories with it. The stands and the power cable that it came with. We sent those away. Now we're going to be sending away the actual TV itself, but we'll be doing that separately. And then after we got that set up, we got on our way to the Lawn of Oaks. Yeah, we got on our way there. And, we got on our way there. And, on our way there and, all that stuff. And then I took a little bit of time to get everything all set up. WR300. I was only going to be staying there for a night or two, so I only brought the WR300 and my 2 laptops with me. Which during that Weekend Fun and Game show that we ran soon after I got everything set up, I went ahead and updated both of those laptops to the latest version of Windows 11. And we have a blue alert for Texas. Oh great, my station's choosing to play the Nani in the Alley theme. Alright, guess what? It won't be doing that tomorrow. Why? I'll explain in a bit after this blue alert delays. I'll let the blue alert go through and then I'll continue. I'll get that sent over along with something else, but before I do that, let me continue on with the story here, everything that happened. So, as I was saying, I did get all of my laptops. I went on with the laptops now. I got those onto 25H2, and boy was I impressed on how fast it was. Considering that this year's update is in the form of an enablement package, which essentially sped up the entire update procedure, so it's almost like a standard cumulative security update. It only took like 10 minutes to actually download and install and prepare the update, and then it only took another 2 or 3 minutes to actually reboot the machine, which then applied the update. That was it. That was how fast it was. That's what Microsoft did with Windows 10. It was a pretty nice move, I must say. So then after we wrapped up that, I ended up watching. Um, I ended up listening to the Blackhawks Oilers game. The Oilers beat the Blackhawks 2-1 in overtime. And then I also watched Game 7, Sudden Death Game 7 of the World Series last night between the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. When I tuned in to the game, the Blue Jays were leading the Dodgers 3-0. And then, of course, I watched the whole rest of the game unfold from there. Took a bit of a snack break in between, and then came back after brushing up through the night to watch the rest of the game. Saw the rest of the game from there. Let's go and start game number 2 now. Those are the routes, so let's go. Alright, so then I ended up watching the rest of Game 7 of the World Series. And I mean, it was quite impressive. The Blue Jays maintained the lead for a majority of regulation. Then the Dodgers hit a solo home run in the bottom of the ninth when the Blue Jays were just 1 out away from winning the World Series. The Dodgers tied the game. And then toward the end of the bottom of the ninth to get the last out of the inning and of regulation, from where the ball was about to go out on the field, I felt like it was about to be a repeat of Joe Carter's 3-run home run to win the 1993 World Series. Yeah, that the Blue Jays were in. And by the way, I found the complete broadcast. Well, actually, the entirety of the bottom of the ninth inning of the last game of the '93 World Series. In the last game of the '93 World Series, I found the entire bottom of the ninth inning along with the complete celebration that none of those World Series compilations were able to, cover or show. But it's understandable as to why. Is that the same Google alert? Yeah, it's the same product. I don't need it again. But anyway. But anyway then. So the Blackhawks and even the Edmonton Oilers were watching too during the second intermission. Everyone at the Oilers, arena were watching, doing like a mini watch party of the World Series, during intermission. And I'm sure everybody was cheering on Toronto. And then it came down to, except that home run would have been a grand slam. Yeah, it would have ended up being a grand slam. But that's not what happened. And then it took a solo home run in the top of the 11th inning. That's right, it went to extras. And then the Dodgers did they? No, I don't think they did a double play. They did quite a catch to win them their second straight World Series back-to-back titles for the team. And they're actually going to be holding their championship rally Monday, which is tomorrow, actually. So the Blackhawks game actually finished before the World Series did. And then after that, I stayed up for a little bit longer and then decided to call it quits for the night. It wasn't an average, it wasn't a typical Sunday night, like a Sunday morning like it was here at home. It wasn't like that. And boy, did I enjoy the extra sleep time. I really enjoyed the extra hour of sleep from the clocks being rolled back an hour. So yeah, I really enjoyed an extra hour of sleep, instead of staying up for all those automated tests and everything. looking at DC Radio 1 for a second week, I think it's official. I think that's it. DC Radio 1 is done. They've stopped doing their automated tests completely. So I went ahead and taking them out. But also I want to see if any of the other stations on our list still end up relaying their tests and whatnot. I just want to see. Maybe they change times, or maybe they stop streaming alerts completely. I don't know. I want to actually confirm it for myself before I do anything, or I go into anything else. But anyway, again, after the World Series, and I just went right to bed. That was it. Nothing more. Enjoyed my extra hour of sleep, and boy, I desperately needed it. And then I'll talk about the, stuff related to why I mentioned that songs like the Nami and the Alley theme on WPLD will not be playing this week and for quite a while because of an announcement I made previously. But I'll continue on with that in just a bit. So of course, I got up this morning and did all my usual stuff. But some plans were actually changed when it came to lunch. Oh, and I did mention something too. I'll get back to that in just a bit. So then let's see. So of course I listened to Wait, Don't Tell Me, WBZ, the station that actually produces the program for NPR. Well, that specific program is a national network. And then later on, of course, we watched the game between the Bears and the Bengals. Actually, we watched the majority of it on CBS. Whereas for me, I watched nearly all of it except for the last 3 minutes of the game. And my father did see the beginning of it, he was going to pick up lunch today. This time we did Chinese. And of course I had the orange chicken and the white rice. Good. Those were quite good. And of course I completely forgot that I had an unopened box of raisins. But for some reason, when I'm over at her house, I like to, munch on those Sun-made raisins. She just leaves them out there for me. I went after a whole bunch of them today. Especially after lunch. And a bunch of leftover Halloween candy, too. Majority of them were Kit Kats and Hershey's. But she also had to try an Almond Joy. It actually was good, too. And since the Bears were playing in Cincinnati, for nearly the entire game, I had that Brent Spence Bridge webcam on. You may remember that I had that webcam on for the Cincinnati Reds Friday night fireworks shows that have been happening over the summer and whatnot. I really enjoy when those happen. I really enjoy when they do those fireworks spectaculars, to end a crazy work week and everything like that. It's pretty nice. The Riverfest especially. And by the way, I don't know if it was I think it was one of my parents that actually questioned me, what's that webcam for? And then I told them that that's the webcam I tune into to watch the Reds Friday night fireworks shows and, everything else. And I told them that it's a camera that overlooks the river and the Brent Spence Bridge and the rest of the riverfront in Cincinnati and the rest of Cincinnati and of course Great American Ballpark and Bengals Stadium. I actually saw the little pyrotechnic display. They actually showed the pyrotechnic display they did for the during and after the national anthem and the first touchdown of the game within like the first 15 seconds. The first touchdown came within just 15 seconds of the game actually starting. So yeah, we had Chinese, and we had a few other people come over as well. We had a few other people come over as well to presumably watch the game as well. So yeah, they also came over to watch the game. But of course, even on Bengals game day, that webcam still plays, Cincinnati themed music, which hurt a lot because I actually had the webcam on the way home. Now I was actually offered, to stay there for one more day, but of course, I told them as I've got a lot of college work under my belt this week, discussion, 2 chapters for my digital media course. Let's see, an HTML thing that's part of it. What else? Quarterly exams and that knowledge check. There is a reason why I'm scavenging them all for Monday. I'll talk about that when we get there. So we actually did listen, me and my father actually listened to the rest of the game on the radio. Boy, my father did have quite a reaction when the Bears scored a touchdown, almost like as if he was watching it on TV. Yep. So of course I listened, we both listened to the rest of it and part of the post-game show. But then there was something else too. I'm going to go ahead and send those pictures over right now. You may remember how I was talking about, when Billy Boys closed, when Billy Boys permanently closed. I actually have taken the pictures here. This is actually what Billy Boys looks like now. You can see I've actually waited several months to finally get imagery, of it, because they closed in August. So I guess for the first time in 3 months, I get to finally see what Billy Boys looks like after they've closed. You can see the sign is still there. And this is actually what the building looks like now. So you can see where all those bricks are. That's where the Billy Boys marquee previously was. And then of course zooming in a bit further, I guess this is as far as you can zoom in. But there you go, you can see that's the sign on the door informing of the closure. I was quite sad when I saw the social media post, but yeah, it was kind of nice that I got actual imagery of that. Alright, let's go back to the game now and keep this going. So yeah, I wanted to show you the 2 pictures I took of the... Oh yeah, there we go. Piggy Porkchop posted the blue alert from earlier. Oh, and by the way, there was also a turquoise alert for Arizona this morning and a amber alert in North Carolina earlier this afternoon. Of course, I didn't get any of them because, I wanted to focus more on the... Yeah, and in regards to the games, we did not get to it because those 2 people at the company were, busy with other things and whatnot, which is understandable. But I'm glad we did, a slight part of Roblox, in preparation for today. In case today was going to go a different direction. But, of course, we do have a small little game day planned for, in the middle of the week. But, I'll explain why that is shortly here after I finish this story. So, then I got back here and I got everything all set up. And I actually decided to go ahead and apply the feature update to the 25H2 update that I mentioned earlier to my 2 remaining systems. My It's Veron 3020 and then 3060 micro. Since that one was already on 24H2, I just went ahead and did the enabling package, and it went pretty quick. I got everything all set up and set back up, and everything was already ready to restart. That's how fast it was. That's how fast that update was, and I'm quite impressed. Very impressed in every way. But then in terms of my main PC, of course I had to. Of course, it decided to still pull down 24H2. So what I did was I used I mentioned this last week. I used the Windows Update Show High tool to block 24H2, so that way then it can unlock 25H2, so that I ran the feature update, and then after initiating that, I ran the tool again to unhide 24H2, and this time it did not come down again, because that would be the last time I would be, booted into 23H2. So I let the feature update download and install. Of course, when I played catch up with all of those products from the last several days, including some of them testing twice because of the clocks going back 1 hour. And of course, I've made all the changes with my with the auto test documentation. In preparation for the time change, I referred to the notes that I had put down previously on my phone. So then I went back through everything, helped my father get dinner ready for the week. We had meatloaf for dinner tonight, by the way, but we had it a bit later. In fact, it was like toward the end of AFV, which actually tonight was actually the very first actual program that I got to see on our brand new TV. Because I told you all the story just earlier about how I got a brand new TV to replace that 60-inch TV that we had for a whole decade. Yeah, it was a decade old, because I searched it, did some research on it, and confirmed that I was actually wrong on the date as to when it was manufactured. So I didn't look inside the remote for the exact manufacturing date, but it's alright. At least I'm glad I did, after the fact. So, and I watched AFV and had dinner. And then after that, ran the feature upgrade to 25H2 on my main system. And of course, it did exactly what it did. And then after that was done, I did some testing, with some of the things that I usually do with 23H2, such as playing multiple videos and audio files at once, and things freezing and whatnot. I actually did all that testing after the upgrade, and I'm actually very happy that Microsoft had finally resolved that problem. That was very problematic with 24H2, especially after Microsoft forced it on my main system. That's why I blocked the feature update from being forcefully installed, while at the same time continuing to ensure that I continue receiving the important security updates for 23H2, since it still had another year of support at the time. But of course, there's a big reason why I went ahead and made the move. Because of course, next week, not this coming Tuesday, but next Tuesday, the 11th, is when 23H2 Home and Pro will receive its last update. And then after that, that's it. There will not be any more updates to the Home and Pro editions of 23H2 after that. However, the more commercial editions, Enterprise and Education, are going to receive updates for another year. And then after that, those editions too will reach end of life. And then whoever's still on those editions are going to have to go to the latest version, which should be 26H2, Yeah, 26H2 should be the latest version. That should be 26H2. Yeah, 26H2 should be the next version of Windows 11. Although I did hear about 26H1 coming soon, but it's going to be for a specific processor brand. So, almost like with the Copilot Plus PCs, it was rolled out, 24H2 was rolled out to Copilot Plus PCs first, and then it would be rolled out to everybody later on in the year. So, and it was a complete disaster. It truly was a complete disaster. That's why I stayed on 23H2 up until today. So then, after I did all the testing, final updates, final driver updates, and program updates, and everything else like that, and confirming that those issues that I had, specifically with video and audio on 24H2, had finally been resolved, it was finally time to abandon 23H2 for good. So after doing all the testing and updating the drivers from the manufacturers, I went ahead and did disk cleanup and removed the backup of 23H2 permanently. So now my main PC is on the latest version of Windows 11 with its latest security revision as well. And all my programs are also on the latest versions as well. So, while at the same time maintaining the stability and quality that I had on 23H2. And I'm already liking 25H2 because now I can put the seconds and the full clock in the notification center like in Windows 10. And I don't need to have the seconds in the taskbar anymore, which is quite nice. That was one of the first things I noticed after, switching to Windows 11. Well, I didn't actually do it right away. I did soon after. I can't remember if I did it, right after I made the switch, a few years ago. I don't know. It could be. Again, I'm not sure. But regardless of that, I'm happy that now my main PC has the latest version, and I got it off of 23H2 before end of service. Yeah, before that version reached end of service, or reaches end of service, I should say. But if you're watching this anytime afterward, then yeah, anytime after November 11th, then yeah, the version will have reached end of service. Again, for Home and Pro. Because, of course, the Education and Enterprise editions get another year of updates until 2026. So, that is a good thing. And after I ran the final set of updates, I had already noticed the new naming scheme taking effect. Because now it says Preview Update, and now it will say Security Update for Windows 11. 5H2, it will just say security update. It just won't say any, it just won't give any dates or any information like that anymore. So, I heard some IT admins are not pleased with the move, but then again. So yeah, I'm glad I have decided, to complete the transition today instead of early in the week. So yeah, it took an entire weekend, including, the World Series and whatnot, to complete the transition from one PC running 23H2, one PC running 25H2, and 3 other PCs running 24H2 to now get all 6 PCs, including the Insider machine, on 25H2. And the battery's almost dead. Great. Yeah, I barely ever charged it since we came back. But yeah, I'm very happy that I that I'm actually very happy that Microsoft finally fixed that issue. And that was actually one of the major, at the end, that was one of the many major reasons why I stayed away from 24H2 until Microsoft fixed a lot of the issues. Or 25H2, more notably, but I did agree to do wait till 25H2 before doing it, and I made the right call, and I'm very glad that I did. But I did also hear about a task manager bug where it'll duplicate itself. And funny thing, actually, when I checked Task Manager on my Optiplex Micro, soon after I ran the update, I wasn't able to get it, but I wasn't able to screen capture it, but for some reason the CPU was reporting very weird numbers. 101%, 103%, and the highest it reported was 107%. That's odd. I don't know how the CPU usage can go over 100%. I don't know, but that's odd. That is quite odd. I'm not sure if that's a bug, but that's very odd to see. I've never seen the CPU usage mention that kind of thing before. It's very weird, but I gotta say, all that time of waiting for that feature update and getting it applied and everything, it was all worth it. It was all worth the wait. So I'm very happy that now every machine I have is now on the latest version, and they're all on the same page. So now every machine is all caught up, and now we're on the latest version instead of being scattered on like I'm using 3 different versions of Windows 11 on multiple PCs at once. And of course, it took my main laptop to go to 24H2 before receiving 25H2. But good thing I told my main PC to block 24H2 so I can do 25H2. And I'll go straight to 25H2. And I'm very glad I made the move, and I am not turning back. In fact, I'm not even going to be able to turn it back anyway, because I've already removed 23H2 soon after I did all the updates and testing and everything like that. And just in time before the end of service. But anyway, yeah, that was it. That's really everything that happened, leading up to this moment. But I did earlier mention about the Nani in the Alley wallpaper theme and, stuff like that not being heard on PLD for quite a while. Well, if some of you may remember, earlier this week, well, actually technically last week now, if you may remember last week, I made an announcement that WPLDIP will be officially airing Christmas music this year. I'm very excited, but I can tell you that the Christmas music that you're gonna hear is not gonna be your typical Christmas stuff. No, it's not gonna be the kind of Christmas music you expect, that you're gonna expect when you tune in to WLIT or WNOH or some of the other stations who will flip seed or have already flipped at the beginning. Now, the kind of music that we'll be playing are, of course, the music that we have been known for playing, chiptunes. I found a bunch of Christmas-themed ones, some of which with Christmas vibes in it. Others are rendition of Christmas carols and things like that. So we'll see how this goes. I'm looking forward to it. And as for WLAT, the AI guessed that it would occur on Saturday at 3 p.m., but I was totally wrong. Of course, when I told Yalak, when I told Yalak that the AI information may be incorrect, and of course it was, because later on Saturday, I checked their social media page, and they mentioned that on Monday morning, that's tomorrow morning, at 8:20 a.m., they are actually going to announce the true date as to when they are going to to when they are going to flip to Christmas music this year. And for our station, we are going to be making the flip tomorrow. Tomorrow at 4 p.m. That's right, tomorrow, 4 p.m. That is when we're going to make the switch. And we're going to do it live. That's right, we're going to do it live with all of you. Yep, right in front of each and every one of you, we're going to make the flip live on the air. So, of course, the plan is do the Wordle, then flip the station to Christmas music, and then begin Minecraft. Speaking of Minecraft, for this week's show, we will be building the bridges of some of the remaining bridges of Unaville, and if we have time, begin construction on the other side of 356, which I'm guessing we will have a lot of time to do. But if we don't finish that, which could be the likely case, then we will finish that process. During our Sunday Minecraft Head Start, along with starting the next interstate question. I won't go into any details on that week, but we got to get through this week first. But then the reason why I wanted to go ahead and finish the feature upgrades and get it all done at once today is because, and the whole reason why I decided to leave the Lone Oak Shoot early and turn down the offer of staying another night, is because I have a lot of college work under my belt. And when I was talking with my mother about this move, I told her that the stuff for the digital media course does not open until like the very next day. Like on Monday. Everything opens on Monday at midnight. Monday at midnight, everything opens up. So going in order, so then for digital media, there's chapter 13, 14 question, 2 questions for, 2 review and discuss questions for 2 different chapters, plus XHTML practice. And then, of course, once again, the quarterly exams for OS fundamentals and networking and that stuff. For cloud security this week, it's going to be a knowledge check that's going to be due November 4th, which is Tuesday. So I'll probably do the digital media stuff first, then this AWS knowledge check, and then do the fundamentals review, or do the knowledge check later on. I don't know where, how I'm going to go about it, but I'll think about it as I go through the day. Also got a bunch of other shows to catch up on too, including the Scrambled Up episodes, which will be airing tomorrow morning. And then, of course, actually 2 episodes of Flipside. The one from Friday, and then the other one that you did not hear. I actually went through GSN's schedule and compared what they're airing to the notes of episodes that I did not watch. And I'm also looking for the same episodes of The Perfect Line, too. Making sure that I see the episodes that you did not air or that I missed. I'm getting close to the end of catching up with Scrambled Up, and then after that, I'll set that show back to all new episodes only. So, getting closer to the end. It's gonna be quite a treacherous journey, to go through all of this. So then, of course, I'll spend my Monday getting those, getting all those assignments done and the shows caught up. But then Tuesday, since my since our main staff has something else going on that day, we're gonna have some company come over and spend time with me, and then they'll take me to my college course. But you know what I was thinking? How about I do the knowledge check then? I think that's a better idea. I'll do the digital media stuff along with the Cybit exam tomorrow, and then save the knowledge check for Tuesday while waiting for my evening class. I think that's a great idea, personally. I think that's a great idea. I'll think about it. And then, of course, there's fundamentals labs that night, and then discussion there's even discussion questions, too. Here for the first 4 weeks, so... I see somebody else has already put one down. Networking fundamentals quarterly exam, like the last of the assignments and whatnot. But of course, everything else behind the scenes will be, perfectly normal. So, of course, Tuesday we won't have a show. Wednesday, and of course, Wednesday will be our weekly press show, which of course will have the interruption. And then Thursday will also be normal. But then I will take care of the networking fundamentals quarterly exam. I'll take care of that. And then and that discussion question. And then I will begin production officially on Ticket to Ride. I'll start production on that day. And then, finish up any other stuff for the Networking Fundamentals course. Then on Friday, of course, I'll take more episodes of Ticket to Ride. Saturday then should be normal. Shouldn't have anything else, but I was informed that, gonna need a haircut again. So we'll stop for that. Which hopefully will not take, hopefully that will be the only stop unless 50 million other stops are added on along the way. Which I hope is not going to be the case, because that would prolong the show even more. But we'll see how things go. But then, of course, as I said, Sunday night we'll do a Minecraft Head Start, and then Monday will be our main show. And once again, everything else will be, nothing different. Of course, Tuesday will be, nothing because... Tuesday the 11th, I don't have school that day. Don't have an evening class that day. So that means we'll be able to do our Roblox at its usual time. That's why we're doing Minecraft Head Start that Sunday, the 9th. Next Sunday, that is. And then everything else will be normal. Wednesday will be my evening class. Thursday will be then, of course, Thursday will be, backyard baseball that night. Friday will be the fun night show. But Saturday the 15th, we won't be able to do our weekend fun and game show in any form because we're gonna help my grandma get the Christmas tree up. Helped get Nana's tree up while we were there too. We helped her get that set up yesterday. And then on where are we on now? And then I was thinking Sunday, how about we maybe make up some of the games for Saturday the 8th? I was thinking, why don't we double down on, some of the games that we normally play, or we can embed, here's what I was thinking. Saturday the 8th, we could do 2 games of Game of Life and 2 rounds of Play 18, which is the equivalent of 4 rounds of Play 9. And then we can do, or we can add Way Sorry and Way Sorry Strategy onto our Friday Fun Night show this week. You know, just to give it a bit of a head start for that. That's currently what I was thinking, and then after that, everything else will mostly be normal. And then after that, everything else will be mostly normal. So then Sunday the 16th will be our Roblox show. Monday, back to Minecraft, and then the 18th. Well, basically that week will be normal. But then, when we get to the week of Thanksgiving, there will be some changes, however. There will be some changes, however, to the schedule. For Wednesday, the college is actually going to close early to kick off fall break, or Thanksgiving break, which means it won't end an evening class that night, so that means that week our Wednesday show will go uninterrupted, which is amazing. But here's what I was thinking at the same time too. Because Thursday is Thanksgiving, we will not be able to do backyard baseball, of course, because, we haven't done backyard baseball like every single Thanksgiving. We have not been able to do that, so of course we're not going to do anything, any streams that night and whatnot. But there's actually one more other thing. Before we left the Log Oaks today, I was actually offered, a chance to stay there for the, offered up the opportunity to stay there for the weekend, the weekend after Thanksgiving, which I accepted the offer, but that is yet concrete. If that does end up happening, then I actually will take my girl along with us for the ride. We'll see how well it does. I was thinking about that, after we got the, as we were getting ready to get the Christmas tree set up. Anyway, since we're running out of time, let's go ahead and start our speed game here. And this is the last game I'm going to play, by the way, before we wrap things up tonight. So if it all goes to plan, actually hoping to go bowling on a Friday afternoon, but that also means there will not be a Friday Fun Night show that week either. So then on Saturday, what we'll do is, of course, we'll play our usual games, right? Well, basically, I'll create all of the, all the videos and stuff. I'll do the counting requests, I'll do the Street View episodes, all of those I will do. And then when both are complete, then we'll begin our Saturday games. So, of course, we'll still play our usual stuff, right? We'll do Game of Life, we'll do Way Sorry, we'll do Game of Life, we'll do Play 18, we'll do Way Sorry and Way Sorry Strategy, but we're also going to add Regular Sorry and Regular Sorry Strategy onto the lineup because we would not be able to do it that week. But then what about Deal or No Deal and Set for Life? Well, we are actually going to be scrapping both of those that week. That's for Saturday. And then for Sunday, don't know how it's going to go, but the very likely case is we'll still be able to do, we may still be able to do our Roblox show. We may still be able to do our Roblox show that week. But of course, Monday, certainly that week, the following week, we'll be able to do Minecraft. But actually, after that, everything else is going to be normal. So, Tuesday will be Wednesday will be the weeklies. Thursday will be, Thursday will be the backyard baseball game. Friday will once again be the Fun Night show, and then Saturday, of course, based on plans, that will decide what happens. That's going to decide what will end up happening. So that's the story, basically. But then with the fall tapings, like I said, as I've been mentioning this week, I am planning on officially beginning production on Ticket to Ride. So, of course, after I take care of the networking fundamentals exam on Thursday the 6th, along with that discussion question, which I already see someone actually already has a nerve to do. So I'll actually take care of that reply soon after I get that discussion taken care of. And then wait to the next day before I do the final reply. For some reason, my professor for that class thought doing the reply and doing the initial post and the replies all in one day was absolutely stupid. It took like 0.2 points off my score. I don't know, but at least now I understand why that is. Although I find that kind of convenient, he doesn't. I understand because I need to give time for all my other classmates to get their replies. So I guess that's the big reason why. But now I understand. So anyway, on Thursday the 6th, I plan to start giving Tickets to Ride, and of course, just like I had planned to do with 5th grader, the procedure will be the same. I'll tape Ticket to Ride episodes on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays each week. The goal is to have all of those episodes completed, finished taping, that is, by the week of Thanksgiving. So let's say the deadline is November 25th. So the deadline for that is November 25th for recording Ticket to Ride episodes. That is the goal, November 25th. And then, maybe later on that night, after the tapings are complete, I will then go on to make the announcement video regarding the future of the channel. And then following Thanksgiving, I will put my focus and emphasis on completing the final exams. So then I'll spend, the final. Then I'll spend November 30th. That is the last of the OS Fundamentals stuff. So then after Thanksgiving, which will be the week of December 1st, and going up all the way through December 12th, those will be my course's final exams. So I'm going to be spending the entire week, well, except for Wednesday, of course, because it's a break, to focus on getting all those materials completed. Getting all of it completed. December 8th is currently what looks to be the due date for all. Actually, December 7th, I think, is the due date for all that stuff. So, the ultimate goal then is, again, the 25th is November 25th. Oh, sorry. To record all 167 episodes of Ticket to Ride. To record all current 165 episodes of Ticket to Ride. And then record the announcement video the night of the 25th, soon after. Yeah, the night of the 25th, soon after. Soon after I finish recording episodes. Or actually shortly after my OS Fundamentals class that night. But anyway, I am getting Michigan ready because it is just about time for that. I did put all the stations in there. Because I did put all the stations of, I did put a Michigan station in there on my main server before we left. So after I initiated the feature update on the micro, I had already started the server back up, so now everything is ready to go. The secondary, I'm going to leave it as it is currently, just see who else will end up doing it. I'm just going to give those Minnesota stations one more week to try and do it. If they do it, then great. If not, then oh well. And I'll get KRVN going here in just a moment as well. Okay, there we go. This should be the correct one. So good to know that they still do it at 10 p.m. even after the time change. But yeah, I'm gonna have a few more stations join in the fun this week. Okay. So once again, the ultimate goal then is November 25th to complete taping, Ticket to Ride, and editing. But then I probably will not start the exporting process until maybe after I make the announcement video, or continue that procedure through the 27th, and then when we're in the Lawn of Oaks, then I'll begin the process of rendering and uploading all the episodes. Oh yeah, and one more thing I forgot. It was actually in regards to the game. In fact, during halftime and before the game, even before the football game today, I came across the HP Electronics collection on the HSN, the Home Shopping Network, and they showed off a HP laptop with pretty crappy specs. You want to know how crappy it is? 4 gigabytes of RAM, 128 gigabytes of storage, and a motherfucking Celeron. Yep. Intel's crappiest of all, one of the second to most crappiest processor that Intel could ever possibly make. A Celeron. And guess what? They were even, the people on the, and the people that were showing off the item were actually playing around with Microsoft's new talk to Copilot, hey Copilot kind of thing. Yeah, they were talking about that and playing around with it and whatnot. They actually only did it, before the game. They didn't play around with it any further than that. They just showed off the item and that was it. And I also sticked around for the electronics collection at like 2 p.m. during halftime. Seeing what other kind of items, including AIWA, AIWA. Yeah, the brand of those speakers that we have in the basement. Damn, nobody could even pronounce that brand correctly. Not even S&M Destruction, they couldn't even pronounce that brand right. Yeah, they were showing off portable Bluetooth DVD players, nostalgic boom boxes, and wireless headphones and wireless Bluetooth speakers, and from Bose and things like that. Pretty interesting what they were showing off. And it was part of their specials for the day. The free shipping actually ends at midnight tonight. They actually talked about that on the station, on the channel, but yeah, I thought that was something I'd bring up. But anyway, so yeah, again, like I said, November 6th, that'd be this Thursday. I'm hoping to begin production on Ticket to Ride. Of course, tomorrow I'll focus on getting digital media and the OS fundamentals exam taken care of. I'll get those taken care of. And then I'll wait on the knowledge check until I get to the campus on Tuesday afternoon, like late Tuesday afternoon. And I do know that I'm probably going to miss the rest of Jeopardy, but you know what? It's all right. I'll watch it on WABC New York later on. I'll watch the rest of it, later in Final Jeopardy. If I end up missing it, that's all right. Then I'll just watch it on. I'll watch the Final Jeopardy replay on their YouTube channel when they post it at like 10 o'clock at night. So anyway, those are going to be my two focuses, and of course the weeklies on this coming Wednesday the 5th. Oh, we've reached November. I think that means something. The Sharon Harris annual test. I keep forgetting about that. So if I remember correctly, November 5th, that will be the Sharon Harris siren test. So they'll do a special NWR test. So if I have Chapel Hill working, I'll I'll get it on Chapel Hill, and I'll have Gardner on there too. So we'll see how this goes, if I actually remember to. And then the following week, well, actually toward the end of the month, there will be the Alert Ready stuff. But, we'll talk about that further when we get there. But anyway, then Thursday the 6th, I'll take care of the last stuff for college. The discussion question, this network exams, and things like that. And then when that's all done, then that is when I will begin production on Ticket to Ride, which then will continue into Friday. And then, of course, for the next 2 weeks, I'll tape episodes on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. However, I could add a week of episodes on select Sundays. Maybe Sunday the 9th when we take a break from Minecraft, and 16th when we take a break from that, and the 23rd, when we take our hour-long breaks for, stuff or whatnot. I'll just connect my tablet, to the PC not wirelessly because that requires an internet connection, but I'll just connect it wired, using the charger cord to the screencast monitor, whatever program I have on there, and then that way I can then just continue recording the episodes while we're offline. So. And the good thing about the Ticket to Ride app is that there aren't any commercials. But then when we do Play 9, I probably will have to connect it wired because I don't want any commercials interfering if we end up doing Play 9, because I'm still debating on whether we're going to do Game of Life or Play 9 after Season 1 of 5th Grader is complete. I've already completed all the episodes, but I'm talking about when all the episodes of Season 1 have been released. That's what I'm saying. But you know what? We'll talk about that further. You know what? We'll talk about that furthermore. We'll talk about that furthermore when we get there. I'll talk about it. So, but again, the goal is Tuesday, November 25th. And then once those episodes are done, after my OS Fundamentals class that night, I will then do the announcement video, which actually... sometime between now and then, I'll have to get a script written for it. Yeah, sometime between now and then, I have to get a script written for it. I don't know if this is right. It looks like they're going to air Bubble Scrubbies twice tonight. Huh. Interesting. You know what? I will be more than happy to have that on tonight because, well, I didn't get a chance to do it the previous 2 nights, but yeah. Who knows? I'll be more than happy to take that opportunity this evening because I've missed out on it for the past several times. But But anyway, yeah, that's what's coming up. So then, of course, the week of the 1st, that's when I'll be spending the whole week focusing on final exams for college and stuff. I'll spend the whole week focusing on those, getting those done. Final exams, final projects, things like that. And then when those are all done, my ultimate goal then is on December 8th to begin production on Yahtzee. To start production on Yahtzee. Because those episodes go pretty fast, I'm pretty freaking sure that we're going to be able to tape only a week of episodes. And actually leaving some room for the summer, when we do our summer programming. Which will include Season 4 of The Bowling Train, but I've also been considering the $1 Million Mission mode on Deal or No Deal for the Wii. I have to make sure my Wii U still functions first before I gotta find a new place for it now that we got a new TV. Maybe I'll just end up bringing it up here and then just having it connect it to my capture card and to my monitor and just use it like that. Yeah, then because it's going to be on the Wii, I'm going to have that remote and that sensor bar and everything like that. I'll make sure we got everything, I'll make sure everything's going to work. I'm just going to make sure everything works and, that everything functions correctly so that we can actually do the show. That's one of many other projects. That could also go alongside Play 9, that could go alongside Play 9 as well. So I will think about it, depending on how many episodes I make. this could then be the ultimate. That could then be the ultimate decider. But I'll think about it further, and then of course, I'll make my final plans and everything for the spring, which we will do after Christmas. Once we go through the holiday season. So, but with that, that's it. That is going to wrap things up here for tonight. I want to thank you all so much for joining us here today. Tonight, I should say, this evening for our Ticket to Ride show. We hope you all enjoyed it. Be sure to be here tomorrow at 4 p.m. for not only our Minecraft show, where we'll be building those bridges, on interstate, well, basically the remaining interstates on the Unaville side, but also the live flip to Christmas music on WPLD. You do not want to miss it. You better believe it. You do not want to miss it. Because I wanted to do this last year, but now that I have the material we can finally make it happen. I'm so happy that we get to finally do this. So we hope you will be with us tomorrow afternoon when we make the switch. And of course, I'll put out an announcement on my server that we'll be making the switch. Yeah, that we'll be making the switch as well. So, is that NCX testing? I can tell. I'll keep it running for a few more minutes. I'll keep it going for a few more minutes while we finish up here. So, yeah. Be there or be square. You don't want to miss it. This will be a moment I've been waiting to do, that I've been waiting to make happen since I launched the station. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. I ran one of the Christmas songs as well, during the testing and whatnot of my machine after doing the feature update earlier today. So you better be there or else. So you better be there for the flip or you'll be very sorry. Or you'll be very sorry you missed it. But yeah. This is going to be an exciting day tomorrow, so we hope you'll join us for that. But until then, I'm tired. I've had quite a long day. My father's tired too, as I got a lot of work on my hands to take care of tomorrow. So I'm going to let myself get rested up for that, so we can be with you tomorrow evening at 4 p.m. for our Minecraft show, and also the return of Name That Tune and The Weakest Link on Fox. That's right. Now that the World Series is over, all those shows that we've been watching for a while are finally coming back. Are finally going to be back to their normal time slots on Fox. So I'm looking forward to all of that. And Again, we hope you'll join us tomorrow for our Minecraft show and the Christmas flip. But yeah, I'm going to let myself get rested up for all that college work I've got on my hands tomorrow and all those shows I got to get caught up on and everything like that. So we hope you'll join us for all of that. Maybe I'll play around more with that new TV if I feel like it. But who knows? We'll see. But anyway, until next time. This is Mr. Planetfall wishing all of you a very pleasant good night.